Welcome, everyone in the United States, Canada, and around the world to another episode of It's a Rap with Rap podcast. I am your host, Ron Rapaport. Have you ever felt you are just one mistake away from being found out? You are not alone. A condition termed imposter syndrome affects up to 70% of people, including people of all genders, races, ethnicities, and socioeconomic backgrounds, including CEOs, creative people, and high achievers. Today, our guest, Mike Steele, former corporate leader turned author and coach from the United Kingdom, says many people who look confident on the outside are battling self-doubt within. Despite impressive resumes and outward accomplishments, they often battle self-limiting beliefs. Now, Mike's going to unpack this common but misunderstood disconnect, why confidence often lags achievement, and what to do about it. I will have an empowering conversation with Mike, drawing from his personal insight and years of mindset coaching to help us understand how a growth mindset can reverse deep-seated patterns of self-doubt and reveal the tools that help Mike and countless others break free from the fear of not being good enough. Welcome, Mike, to the podcast.
Thank you, Ron. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. I think this is a topic that's I've often thought about having someone on the podcast to discuss, and it's just something I think everybody thinks about. So I think it's going to be a great conversation. Could you please introduce yourself to the audience with a little background information about yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as you mentioned, my name is Mike Steele. I've had a long corporate career, most of that time as a senior leader in a number of big organizations. Funny enough, some corporate America organizations like Hewlett Packard, Microsoft, two big companies I worked for. Hewlett Packard, by far the best organization I ever worked for. It really kind of set my career up going forward. In the last year or so, I finally left corporate life, and I've now set up my own boutique coaching and training business where I coach individuals, part of it with imposter syndrome and lack of confidence, but also help to train leaders to develop into more inclusive managers going forward. And then I work with small businesses as well to help them create much better cultural organizations.
Okay,
So yeah,
great.
that's basically me.
What drew you in to the growth mindset arena of work? How did
Yeah,
that all start?
I'm going to take you, well, I mean, I'll take you to my biggest imposter syndrome moment, but it made me realize that I'd always lacked confidence depending on who I was standing in front of. I was selected to go on an accelerated development program for high potential employees and leaders. And it was a great achievement. This was a 1-year program. And on the first week where everybody gets together from around the world, we were in Palo Alto headquarters of Hewlett Packard. And on the very first day, I ended up at dinner sitting next to the group CEO, chairman, and president of the company. His name was Lupa. I was not only so nervous, but I could feel myself shrinking because I didn't know what to say to him. And I had these voices in my head basically saying, Mike, don't say anything stupid because this is the most powerful man in the company. He has a lot of presence. So I ended up with little bits of small talk. But then I tried to concentrate on the person sitting on the other side of me because honestly, I was scared of saying the wrong thing. I was scared of him thinking, what on earth is this guy doing here? He doesn't belong here. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I realized after I got back to the hotel with a big sigh of relief that, and I didn't know the name for it then, but I realized later on that that was imposter syndrome. But from that particular time, I thought to myself, I cannot keep going through life facing really senior people and not knowing what to say to them if I've already been selected as a high potential employee. So I've got to do something about it. So I spent a lot of time and a good few years understanding not only how to increase my confidence, but overcome the imposter syndrome that I was feeling. I learned more about how to, tackle those challenges with individuals. So that's what first kind of got me aware of the whole thing.
So that was the impetus to for you to start understanding w- why this happened and what to do about it. I think we've all been in situations like that. I would equate it almost to being seated next to like the president of a country and the vice president and just not knowing how to talk. What do I say to these people? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, I can definitely understand it. Now let's start with the basics, Mike. How do you define imposter syndrome and why does it affect so many people? Now, even the most accomplished professionals, let me give you an example. Albert Einstein suffered from it. Meryl Streep, the actress, Tina Fey, Michelle Obama, Lady Gaga. These are all high profile people. Tell us, tell us how you define it, and why does it affect so many people?
Yeah, well, it affects people in different ways. That's for certain. But I think the most thing where it affects people is, first of all, they are telling themselves that there's a fear of failure that they don't want to be associated with. What if it goes wrong? What if, what will people think? What will they say about me? And that fear really builds up inside of individuals. And as you mentioned, some of those big, big names, it really demonstrates that, the biggest people, even big corporate CEOs, also suffer imposter syndrome at some point within their actual careers. It really boils down to a lack of confidence. But the way I really define it is, if you think about your comfort zone, and the comfort zone is the space where you are comfortable, where you're confident, where you know what to say because you're in a place where everything is familiar to you. The minute you step outside of that, that becomes, an uncomfortable place. And one or two things happen there, right? You quickly can retreat back to your comfort zone because you think, whoa, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm really worried. Or you can actually try and push through it. Now, most people experiencing that for the first time will obviously retreat back into that safe space of theirs. Now, what you have to do over time is to extend your comfort zone, because it starts at a certain size. And as you get more confident, you start to expand that comfort zone of yours. So the idea, and where we come onto a growth mindset, is when you get outside of a comfort zone, you're in what's known as a fear zone. And it's like
Okay.
a learning zone. And if you can get through the learning zone, you move into what's known as a growth zone. Just having the ability to not be worried to go through those steps means that you're creating a growth mindset, rather than having a fixed mindset that basically you start to limit your own abilities and your own beliefs. And, you create all of this self doubt. So
Right.
all of those things are a combination of imposter syndrome, forward, if that helps to explain it.
So tell us, what are some subtle signs that someone might be struggling with imposter feelings, even if they appear confident on the outside? And what type of people most commonly struggle with it the most?
I don't think there's a particular type. I think everybody struggles with it. I mean, people have asked me, is it more men versus women? The answer to that is no. But what I will say is, men are good at covering that fear much better than women are.
Ah,
So if you're in if you're a senior manager or a leader, you give out this confidence, but inside you're probably battling. It's almost, you've probably heard that term, fake it till you make it, which is a term that I do not like. But that's what a lot of people do. They're faking it till they make it. So the faking part of it is eluding this level of confidence as I know what I'm doing, I'm confident I can do it. But deep down inside, they're trying to quickly learn and, find their way until they, find the right solutions or the right processes to be able to stand up to that level of confidence that they're actually alluding to.
Mike, is it normal to have imposter syndrome? Would you consider it a normal thing?
Completely. It's completely normal. But what is not normal is if you are not doing anything about it. If you're allowing it to completely overtake you and push you down into that level of, y- you know, where you're scared, where you lack confidence, where it can almost get to that place where it will start to affect you mentally, where you may have mental health challenges
Yeah.
as a result of that lack of confidence. But the thing is, everybody gets it. And, you know, y- sometimes it's good, right? Sometimes it's good to have a lack of confidence in a situation because I believe that what you're doing is you're constantly trying to learn. As you're learning new things, you are
Yeah.
stretching yourselves. So unless you stretch yourself every time and put yourself in that level of discomfort, hopefully for a short period of time, you will never grow and move beyond where you currently are.
I mean, I could definitely see where people could have this overtake them where I mean, they're afraid to meet new people. They might be afraid to go to a function that they're invited to where they don't know anybody. I can definitely see that being a problem.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even networking, if I go way back in the day when I used to go to, events, I would always be scared to go and, talk to someone. I'd be the person, in the corner with the drink in my hand, really not saying anything to anybody.
Yeah.
But I've learned that actually, if you can get through that by introducing yourself and, you know, meeting other people, you realize that actually it's not that bad.
Right.
It's not that bad at all if you can just, muster up the initial courage to do it, because once you've done it a few times, it will become second nature. And it's like anything. You think about athletes who are training to, make it to the top.
Right.
They always talk about, 10,000 hours of training or development will get you to that kind of elite position. I read a couple of months ago now that Steph Curry openly admitted that he suffered from imposter syndrome. And this is a guy.
What if the life you're living today isn't the life you were meant to live? What if all it takes is a shift, one powerful, intentional switch to transform your mindset, your habits, and your future? Introducing Life Switch by Joel Steele, a dynamic and inspiring roadmap for anyone ready to level up their life, rediscover their potential, and commit to real lasting change. In Life Switch, Joel Steele delivers a clear, practical, and energizing guide to rewiring your thinking, unlocking your inner drive, and stepping into a life that feels authentic, empowered, and intentional. Whether you're battling self doubt, stuck in the same routines, or simply craving more meaning, Life Switch shows you exactly where to begin. Your life changes the moment you decide it must. This is not just another motivational book. Life Switch is action based. Joel Steele takes you step by step through the mental habits, mindset shifts, and lifestyle choices that create genuine transformation, not someday, but now. This book is for the dreamers, the doers, the people who know they are capable of more, but need guidance, clarity, or a spark to awaken what's already inside them. Joel Steele's message is simple. You have the power, you have the choice, you can flip the switch. If you're ready to stop surviving and start truly living, if you're ready to let go of the limits you've accepted for too long, if you are ready to switch on your potential, then Life Switch is the book that will ignite your journey. Get your copy of Life Switch today on Amazon and wherever books are sold. Turn the page, flip the switch, and transform your life. What if the life you're living today isn't the life you were meant to live? What if all it takes is a shift, one powerful, intentional switch to transform your mindset, your habits, and your future? Introducing Life Switch by Joel Steele, a dynamic and inspiring roadmap for anyone ready to level up their life, rediscover their potential, and commit to real lasting change. In Life Switch, Joel Steele delivers a clear, practical, and energizing guide to rewiring your thinking, unlocking your inner drive, and stepping into a life that feels authentic, empowered, and intentional. Whether you're battling self doubt, stuck in the same routines, or simply craving more meaning, Life Switch shows you exactly where to begin. Your life changes the moment you decide it must. This is not just another motivational book. Life Switch is action based. Joel Steele takes you step by step through the mental habits, mindset shifts, and lifestyle choices that create genuine transformation, not someday, but now. This book is for the dreamers, the doers, the people who know they are capable of more, but need guidance, clarity, or a spark to awaken what's already inside them. Joel Steele's message is simple. You have the power, you have the choice, you can flip the switch. If you're ready to stop surviving and start truly living, if you're ready to let go of the limits you've accepted for too long, if you are ready to switch on your potential, then Life Switch is the book that will ignite your journey. Get your copy of Life Switch today on Amazon and wherever books are sold. Turn the page, flip the switch, and transform your life.
Who can, hit a free pointer when the clock is ticking down to literally seconds and the buzzer goes off and he's won a championship or a title or a match,
Yeah.
for his team. But in that moment where he's taking that shot, he's probably thinking to himself, what if I don't make this shot? But the fact that he's got the courage to take the shot in the first place, that helps him to overcome the imposter syndrome that he faces, or the lack of confidence.
Well, moving on, because you definitely answered that. What do you think is the root cause of imposter syndrome?
It's a great question. It can come from so many places, but a lot of it comes from your early childhood, either through how you've been parented or your teachers at school. It only takes maybe a single comment of somebody telling you that you've done something bad or you will never amount to something that can be fixed in your mind for many, many years,
Yeah.
that will, make you lose a lack of confidence. You think about, how many times you've got something wrong at school and the teacher may put a big red mark, a big red F on there. That could dent somebody's confidence, or, a parent telling someone that they're stupid, or, anything like that could cause lack of confidence in imposter syndrome. So most of the time it's developed in childhood and in the early stages of somebody's life. But it could happen, as well when you're an adult. Imagine, being promoted into a new position at work where you have to learn new skills, maybe run a bigger part of their business, or, have to report up to somebody more senior.
Yeah.
That could really, crush somebody's confidence in trying to live up to that and perform at the same time. So it can happen at any stage, but most of the time it really kind of starts in your early life.
What about cultural pressures? Could that be a contributing factor?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, as well, when you look at kind of way, different cultures operate, there are a lot of different cultures that have a certain way of doing things, a certain way of living, and it may be that, you think about a really kind of good example is when you've got people who have come from Asia, or Eastern countries living in a Western country where the culture is completely different.
Right.
They're faced with this pressure to try and maintain a culture, but also try and fit in and live up to, Western life, and there is that pressure that they may get from parents or from other family members that say you have to live this way, you have to conduct in this way, whereas where they're actually living in the environment they're in is almost the complete opposite of
Yeah.
how things are done.
Right.
So yeah.
Is imposter syndrome more prevalent in certain industries, identities, or career stages?
I don't think it's more prevalent in any industry as such, but definitely different stages of someone's career. You could see that. I mean, you can see it from somebody coming into the workplace for the first time, new environment. That could be a very scary place to go. Or even somebody moving from junior school to high school, from high school to college, for example. All of these major changes that you go through, in your life could bring a level of imposter syndrome that will almost kind of set you back where you've got to start again. It might be, now I've got to meet new people. I've got to get used to a new location and a new environment. All of those things start to build up inside you until you finally find the right level of confidence to, be a little bit more comfortable, because what you've done is you have increased that comfort zone that I spoke about earlier on,
Yeah.
and then you're a little bit more settled going forward. But let's think about a senior leader who's just been made up to CEO.
Yeah.
The pressure that they would have, not only being responsible for an entire organization, but they've got to answer to shareholders and people like that. That could be a huge imposter syndrome moment for that individual going forward.
I know just being in my career, I've seen people that are eligible for promotion or eligible to move on say to me, "I don't think I want to do that. I just want to stay where I am. I'm comfortable. I don't want to start all over again," is
Yeah,
basically what they were saying. And I thought to myself, I don't understand, why you're thinking like that, but now it makes sense, but yeah, it probably holds back a lot of people.
it does. And the interesting thing for those people, they don't even realize that that is an imposter syndrome moment.
Yeah,
I think for them, it's like, I'm uncomfortable
right.
moving up into a new position. I'm happy where I am. I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah,
It's that feeling. But underlying is that is a level of self-limiting beliefs that they've got, and self-doubt, and a bit of imposter syndrome in there. Imposter syndrome will hold you back.
yeah.
You can lose tremendous amount of opportunities within your life as a result of imposter syndrome. That could be promotions, that could be salary, it could be a number of different things that imposter syndrome could hold you back on.
How many people out there, Mike, just curious if you mention the word imposter syndrome to them, even know what you're talking about?
It's funny, if I'd gone back 5 years, 10 years, people wouldn't know what it was.
Yeah,
Today, a lot more people are talking about it. A lot more people are speaking up and sharing their feelings now. And the word imposter syndrome is coming out more and more. So I think a lot more people would know what it is now
yeah,
compared to, as I said, 5 or 10 years ago. But I still think there's a tremendous amount of people out there that may not know it at all or may not understand it.
right. Or who may never have heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and also there's some that will also try and tell you that, no, this doesn't affect me at all. I never have this problem.
Yeah, right. What role does perfectionism play in fueling imposter thoughts, and how can people begin to let go of that pressure?
Yeah, I think perfectionism is probably one of the worst things that causes, imposter syndrome and lack of confidence, because I don't believe there's any such thing as the perfect person, perfect situation, perfect feeling. And what happens as a result of that is people are scared to fail. They're scared to make mistakes. And that pressure of, being scared to make a mistake means that you don't make decisions. You don't try things new. You don't kind of try to move forward because if you do, or, it might go wrong and I'm going to make a mistake. So everyone who is kind of trying to have this level of perfection, it just means, if you think about in leadership, I think about corporate space, managers who are risk averse, are suffering from imposter syndrome because they don't want to make a decision because if that goes wrong, it's all on them. So I've found in the last few years that a lot of senior leaders will make decisions, but they're all kind of consensus. They want to check that everybody's okay with that decision before they actually pull the trigger on that particular decision. Not many people will stand out there now and make a decision and say, right, this is what we're going to do. I'm standing behind the decision, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. People are too afraid to do that for fear of, losing respect, losing credibility, or even losing their job as a result. So it means that, you find less and less people out there who are really making tougher decisions, stronger decisions, confident decisions kind of going forward, unless there's other people around them that behind them are supporting that decision.
Right, right. Let's talk about workplace cultures, especially in high performance or competitive environments. How does that contribute to imposter syndrome? Something I noticed was, let's take the sports field. You take either soccer or American football, and you see, they're drafting these tremendous players out of college or wherever and paying them these huge salaries, and these people have done very well in their comfort zone. Now you put them into a professional situation, and they're completely falling. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is your mindset? Imagine waking up every day with clarity, purpose, and the confidence to push the limits that used to hold you back. That's exactly what author Mike Seeley unlocks in his powerful, transformative book, Mindset Unlocked. This is a special message for anyone seeking real change, for anyone who knows they're capable of more, but just needs the right key to access their potential. Mike Seeley's Mindset Unlocked is not just another motivational read. It is a practical, ground-breaking guide to understanding and reshaping the way you think, act, and believe. Mike has over 20 years of senior leadership experience leading teams across global organizations like Microsoft, Hewlett-Packard, BBC, and Informa. As co-founder of Zinc Global, he now helps others overcome self-doubt, build confidence, and step into their potential. Mike Seeley takes you on a journey through the science and psychology of mindset. He breaks down how your thoughts shape your reality and how a shift in perspective can lead to breakthroughs in your career, your relationships, your health, and your purpose. It's honest, empowering, and filled with strategies you can begin using today. What makes Mindset Unlocked stand out is Mike Seeley's ability to speak directly to the reader. He combines relatable stories, actionable exercises, and a refreshing authenticity that makes you feel like you're having a conversation with a trusted mentor. This is a book for real people navigating real challenges, stress, doubt, fear, uncertainty, and helping them transform those obstacles into opportunities. You'll learn how to break free from limiting beliefs, rebuild confidence and self trust, reprogram destructive thought patterns, strengthen mental resilience, and unlock the hidden potential waiting inside you. These aren't abstract concepts. These are tools, mindsets, and habits that you can apply to your life immediately. If you've ever wondered why you feel stuck, why your progress is stalled, or why certain goals still feel out of reach, Mindset Unlocks gives you the answers. It gives you the blueprint, and most importantly, it gives you hope. Mike Seeley reminds us that mindset is not fixed. It can be developed, it can be strengthened, it can be transformed. And when your mindset changes, your entire life changes with it. So if you're ready to become the best version of yourself, if you're ready to break through barriers and redesign your future, you need this book. Mindset Unlocked by Mike Seeley is available now from Amazon and wherever books are sold. Get your copy today and take the first step toward unlocking your true potential because your next level begins with your mindset. And that journey starts right here, right now. This is your moment. This is your breakthrough. It's time to unlock your mindset and transform your life. And this happens all the time.
Yes. All of the time. You're absolutely right.
Right.
If you think about the sheer pressure of being placed in a professional sports team, maybe coming from college or, being drafted or whatever the case may be,
Right.
with a tremendous amount of money and a reputation behind you because you might have been the first draft pick, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about you. Everybody has high expectations of you.
Right.
And all of these things are playing in your mind. Can I actually do it? Can I perform? And what happens if you get out there and you don't perform? And it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 games down the road and nothing's happening for you. Then the fans get on your back and everybody's, that can really send you into a spiral of this kind of self-doubt. So they need a lot of strong people around them to provide those levels of encouragement and support. These are ways to overcome imposter syndrome if you're getting strong support, strong people who are behind you, encouraging you, pushing you, and not really criticizing you because you've not achieved something. So without that, you're gonna really have significant problems, which, as I mentioned earlier on, could lead to, having mental health problems. And then mental health problems, God forbid, could lead to things like suicide, which,
Sure.
is happened
Absolutely.
in the past. Yeah.
Mike, what are some practical strategies or mindset shifts that our listeners can use to quiet their inner critic?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the first things, I mean, look back on the things that you've actually achieved, you've been recognized for. I would say start to create this confidence bank that tells you that, oh, I am capable of achieving things, and you start to build a record of the things that you've achieved. And it will start to tell you that, well, actually, if I could achieve this and this is how I achieved this, I'm confident to try something new, to stretch myself and stretch my goals and push myself further on. So it's almost like having these affirmations around you that, of who you are, you're strong, you have skills and abilities. And what you've got to do with a growth mindset is you have to tell yourself that if there's something you've not quite achieved yet, or there's something you've not done, rather than have a fixed mindset that says, I can never do this, this will never happen, you know, t- turn that around slightly to say, I can't do this yet. And just put that yet on the end, because then that just gives you the confidence that you're in a learning cycle here. You're trying to develop those skills so that you can achieve or you can do something. Like if it's, for example, you know, American football, and you're a quarterback and you want to be able to throw the ball 70 yards, 80 yards, and you can only throw 40 yards or 50 yards. Don't say I can never throw 70 or 80 yards, but practice. And you say I can't do it yet, but keep practicing and
Right.
find ways and techniques to build not only the physical skill, but the muscle skill as well, the muscle memory to be able to achieve that.
No,
So
absolutely. Yeah. I know myself, lifting weights, for example, when I first started out, I was going, oh my God, I'm hurting all over and everything. And then after a while, you just build up, but you have
yeah,
to take it slow. It's not going to happen overnight.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
the key thing to it as well with most people, well, I won't say most people, that's wrong for me to say most people, but a lot of people look for the success in the short term,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes these things are long term and they're incremental steps along the way, just like
Right.
lifting weights. It could be that, you can lift 150 pounds for the next 3 weeks, but 155 might defeat you for 2 weeks. But you continue to practice, you continue to eat right, you continue to do all the things that will get you to be able to lift more than 150, going forward. But it's a slow journey, and there's a lot of impatient people that think, I want the success now.
Right.
I expect it now, and they get upset when they don't achieve it at that particular moment in time.
Like, how can leaders and managers create environments out there that reduce imposter syndrome and build authentic confidence across teams? So
Yeah.
your people in the corporate world, et cetera, how can they do that?
Well, I think the first thing is to build teams that what I call collaborative teams, where people can talk about, you know, their strengths, their weaknesses, what they're good at, what they're not so good at, but also create an environment where it's okay to fail. But I also say when you make it okay to fail, make sure that for the individuals that have failed in that moment, that they use that failure as a learning opportunity, in
Right.
as much as, right, that didn't work this time. What am I going to do differently, or what am I going to do better to make sure that this error or this failure doesn't happen again? There's so much pressure in the corporate world that when people make mistakes, it's sometimes very easy to point fingers
Yeah.
and blame other people. So what you have to do if you're a good manager or a good leader is, eliminate the blame game scenario. And if they do see somebody in their organization that fails, sit down with them, talk with them, help them find a solution going forward. Make sure that that individual knows that even though they've failed, they're okay. They've got the support of the manager and the organization. That builds loyalty within an organization as well, but it builds confidence in the team and in the individual. And once you've got all of that, that increases retention. So people won't jump ship and leave and go elsewhere because they, didn't feel safe, or they didn't feel secure in that particular space because they weren't getting enough support. So yeah, for managers and leaders, it's all about creating that safe space for individuals to eventually thrive.
Yeah. Now, would you say this is came up in my mind here? Is imposter syndrome over time becoming less or more prevalent? And what do you think the reasons are for it?
I think it's becoming more relevant.
Really?
Um, I do, because if you look at how fast this world is changing, particularly not just with technology and things like that, but social media is really something that is adding increased pressure on people to perform.
Yeah.
If you think about, this is one of the big issues we've had in this country, probably in America too, with women, particularly young girls who, through advertising and through social media pressure to look a certain way, to be a certain size, you know, that can increase imposter syndrome because it puts immense pressure on somebody who, let's say somebody is oversized, and the pressure out there, social media, advertising, everything means that everybody is supposed to look like a supermodel.
Yeah.
And young people want to kind of align to that, but they can't, and they might be made fun of by other people through social media links and bullying and trolling and all of those things.
Yeah.
It's just making the whole situation a lot more challenging going forward to help people. When we didn't have all of this social media, not many people spoke about it, but we got on with life, right? Regardless of who we were, what
Yeah.
size we were, and all of that type of stuff. Now, you're just faced with all of these things all the time, and it just adds the complexity of confidence and imposter syndrome, which is a shame. But
Yeah. Can you share a personal story or a client example where someone overcame imposter syndrome and unlocked their full potential?
I'll talk about a current client I've got. We're just kind of finishing up. She just started a new job and was really worried about starting a job. She'd just got out of a toxic environment. And she was telling me that she'd gone through the interview and she got offered the job, but she kept questioning herself. Why did they choose me? What if I go there and I'm not good enough? And all of these kind of self-limiting beliefs that she had had, which when we went through the coaching exercise, it stemmed back to her childhood. So we spent, a number of sessions kind of working through where she'd come from, understanding who she was today, and understanding why she had this level of imposter syndrome. And a lot of it was comparing herself to people around her and looking at people who are a lot more confident or achieving more. And she was thinking, why can I not be like that? We've had a good number of sessions and she is a completely different person now. She's smiling more, she's speaking up more, she's asking more questions in meetings, she is willing to present more. And she was telling me in the last session that, and she's only like 4 weeks into her job, but she had suggested a new idea and the chairman really liked it. And everybody's now looking to her to kind of help drive a big program that she's leading. And she said to me, Mike, this never would have happened, if I hadn't received any coaching. I would never put myself in that situation in the first place. But I
Yeah.
encouraged her to become comfortable with being uncomfortable and not
Exactly.
worrying about what other people think and things like that. So
Yeah.
she started to try it. And yes, it was uncomfortable for her. But when she started to see the positive reaction she was receiving, then it just lifted her up to another level, and this
Yeah.
is sometimes that's what it takes when, you can listen to people, understand where they're coming from and what they need to be doing. That's why I do this from a coaching perspective, because I take the time to understand where is it all stemming from? Why are people thinking the way they're thinking?
Right.
Where is that pressure coming from? And
Right.
then I start to unpack it and then rebuild it back up for them.
So I think our audience can take away something here. Start being comfortable
With
with
being
being
uncomfortable.
being uncomfortable. Yeah, I can definitely that's a great line. Now you have authored the book Mindset Unlocked:
Yes.
How Leaders, Learners, and Dreamers Crush Self-Doubt and Unlock True Potential. Tell us a little bit about the book, what prompted you to write it, and what do you hope the readers take away from reading it?
Yeah. So, what prompted me to write it is what I mentioned earlier on, having that big imposter syndrome moment with Lou Platt, chairman of
Right.
Hewlett Packard, and various other things along the way in my career. And I'd also done a lot of coaching and mentoring throughout my career. So I'd seen people go through similar journeys, coming up against the same kind of barriers or the same lack of confidence. So that's what prompted me to write the book. And within the book, I share some personal stories, but I also share some case studies as well from, you know, well-known people, who have had imposter syndrome moments. I've even kind of mentioned Einstein in there as well that you mentioned kind of earlier on.
Yeah.
But, people like Sarah Blakely, for example, who invented Spanx, which is kind of women's undergarments, right? But she started with $5,000, no experience at all, kept getting turned away from all of these big organizations, but she never gave up. She just started to develop her presentation a little bit more until she finally got her break. Now she's a billionaire with this particular product.
Yeah.
But it took her a while to kind of get through it. So the book shares some of those case studies, but it also shares some exercises that individuals can do as well. And funny enough, as we speak, that book is being narrated at the moment, so there will be an audio version of it coming out in the next couple of months.
Great, great. Now, where can people get the book? Can they get it on Amazon or where's it available?
Yeah, it's on Amazon at the moment, so you can either get, you know, the physical book, or you can get the Kindle version of it. But as I said, the audio version will also be coming out, and it's all on Amazon
Oh,
right
great.
now.
Well, you did tell us a little bit about your coaching. How can people contact you?
Yes, they can contact me through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to send you some, my kind of website information. It's more of a URL platform that I've got that will talk more about my particular services. But by all means, people can contact me on LinkedIn. They can book time with me via my LinkedIn profile.
And do you
Um,
have a website?
so I changed my website, and I've now got kind of like a web platform, and I haven't got the URL off the top of my head, so I'll have
Okay,
to
well,
send it to you.
you'll send me the URL and
Yeah,
we'll put it in the podcast notes.
that would be great.
And
Yeah,
if they want to go to LinkedIn, they just go what? Michael Sinclair?
Mike Seeley.
Oh, Sinclair. No,
Yeah,
sorry
Mike
about that.
Seeley.
Mike
No
Seeley.
worries. Yeah, they should pick me up in there, or say that I'm a coach and stuff like that. So
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
and they can
Now,
reach out to me that way.
yeah, I don't know where I got Sinclair. Maybe I'm thinking of Sinclair oil or something. I don't know.
All right. No
Uh,
worries.
Now, if someone is listening right now and is silently struggling with imposter syndrome, what is the first thing you would want them to hear?
To hear,
Yeah, from you.
the first thing I say is, first of all, you are not alone with imposter syndrome. So many people have imposter syndrome. The thing is, though, what you need to understand is, where is that imposter syndrome in that individual coming from? What is actually causing it? So I can't give, hey, here is the solution, until I understand, how they're feeling and why they're feeling the way they're feeling and where they believe it's coming from. And then I can kind of help with that. But the key thing to understand is, first of all, you are not alone. So don't think that you're in this kind of isolated bubble where you're the only one who's feeling that way. But the thing is, just try and overcome it, try and think more positively. As I mentioned, think about the things that you've actually achieved, no matter how big or small, in the past, and use that as a positive affirmation of who you are and what you can achieve yourself. So that's the first thing I would really say. But I think the key thing I would love to be able to spend more time talking to an individual and really helping them to overcome those fears. It's all about changing behavior, right?
Yeah,
It's about having behavioral changes in how you do things, or the way you do things going forward. And if you can help people to identify what those behavioral changes kind of look like, you can then set them on a new course that will start to build confidence over time.
right. And hopefully, anybody who has this imposter syndrome, which I'm sure there's many listening, my suggestion would be get a hold of Mike. We'll have all his information in the podcast notes. I want to thank you, Mike, for being on the podcast and bringing awareness to the subject that many people experience and probably did not realize it is so common in so many of us and is considered as a common and normal experience. So, once again, Mike Seeley, thank you so much for being on, and we hope to have you back in the future.
Thank you, Ron. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks
Great.
very much for the
Now,
opportunity.
if anybody has comments or suggestions for the podcast, you can email me at itsawrapwithrap@gmail.com. We have a Facebook group. It's a Rap with Rap. We have a couple thousand members in there. It's by invitation only. It's a private group. So if you want to join, email me. We're on Instagram. It's Rap with Rap Podcast. We're on X at Rapper130. Our website is itsawrapwithrap.com. And all the episodes can be seen on YouTube. It's a Rap with Rap, the podcast uncut. I want to thank everyone for listening or viewing. I want everybody to please stay safe. And for now, it's a wrap. This podcast is being brought to you in part by the veteran-founded Hero Soap Company located in Phoenix, Arizona. In today's environment, We must be aware of the products we apply to our skin. As a two-time cancer survivor, I cannot afford to take chances, and I use these products myself. The soaps will leave you feeling clean and refreshed. All the products made by the Hero Soap Company are made in the United States with the highest quality ingredients, sourced from companies in the United States whenever possible. The products are made in small batches to ensure high quality and contain premium essential oils and fragrance. All hero soaps are created without synthetic colorants, parabens, and sulfates that are irritating to the eyes, skin, mouth, and lungs, and are cruelty-free, meaning these products are not tested on animals. Each 5-ounce bar of soap is handmade in Phoenix, Arizona, and the body wash is available in 8 ounces with such refreshing scents as lime, bourbon, and frost. You will absolutely love this soap. Please also check out their gear for sale. All the products are reasonably priced. Being veteran founded, the company understands the dedication and sacrifice that each family makes to serve their country. A portion of sales is donated back to charities such as Operation Finally Home, Operation Interdependence, and the Gary Sinise Foundation that are focused on helping veterans and our first responders. Over 1,000 bars have been sent to our deployed troops. Please check out their website, herosoapcompany.com, for pricing and a detailed description of all the products. Now, when ordering, please use the code RAP for a 10% discount. The company information will be listed in the podcast notes.